Really glad you could join us today. We've got a truly unique exploration lined up. We're diving deep into the future of Iran. And what's fascinating, maybe even surprising, is how its destiny, according to the material we're looking at, might just shape the future for, well, everyone.
Yeah, the sources for this deep dive, they take us on quite a journey. We'll touch on this intriguing idea that for some thinkers, history itself really kicked off in ancient Persia. We're going to trace a path from these really profound philosophical concepts, like Zoroastrianism. It's described as the first rational spirituality, which is interesting, all the way to modern, pretty bold ideas like Prometheanism. It's a huge intellectual landscape we're covering.
Absolutely. And our core mission today really is to pull out the most impactful insights from all this. We want to get a handle on how these, ancient Iranian ideas could potentially forge a radically new vision for humanity, and crucially, how this all connects back to right now, to our present moment, and the challenges we're all facing globally. Okay, let's really try and unpack this then. What is the future of Iran being presented here? And by extension, the future of the world. So one of the central ideas, and it comes up a lot in our source material, is from Jorjani. He insists Iran is, well, far more than just a nation state. He calls it a civilizational axis, even a symbolic and geopolitical fulcrum, which that perspective really elevates Iran's significance, doesn't it, beyond just geography?
It really does. It asserts this foundational role in human history. And what's truly illuminating, I think, is how Iran gets characterized as liminal, like a threshold culture. Historically, it seems it's consistently stood as this bridge between East and West, sure, but also between spirit and matter, monarchy and priesthood, even the seen and the unseen. And these aren't just random divides, right? They're fundamental oppositions. And the argument is that Iran has uniquely navigated these throughout its history.
It's got that threshold idea.
Yes, that threshold idea is absolutely vital. Because thresholds, you see, that's where transformations tend to happen. Big shifts. So if, as some suggest, the Persian past mark a kind of beginning for freedom, then the argument follows that its future could be where freedom gets maybe renewed. But, and this is key, in a radically different register than what we usually think of as, say, Western liberalism. It suggests a path that kind of breaks from the familiar patterns.
It's definitely a paradigm shift to think about, especially when the material throws out a quote like this. Iran does not need to Westernize. The West needs to remember its Persian origin. I mean, that's a really powerful statement, isn't it? It completely flips the usual script on, modernization and global influence.
It does.
So digging into the source material, what's the deeper philosophical groundwork? How can Jorjani make such a counterintuitive claim?
Well, the implication is that Iran possesses this unique inner logic, a sort of historical trajectory that's distinct from and maybe even prior to the Western one. The core idea seems to be that the West, in its drive for modernity, might have forgotten certain spiritual or philosophical roots that Iran, in this view, has somehow preserved. So Iran's future isn't about copying the West. It's about activating its own inherent ancient wisdom, if you will.
Okay. So building on that deep historical context, Jorjani then introduces this, well, truly bold vision. It's not just about a new government for Iran, but what he calls a rebirth of civilization, the Promethean Republic. That name itself, Promethean, evokes so much, doesn't it? Prometheus, fire, knowledge.
It's a grand concept, definitely. And this envisioned republic, it's built on 4 core principles. And each one is pretty distinct from, say, common contemporary political models. First, there's technological sovereignty. The idea is mastering transformative science, but without globalist dependency, independence and innovation. Second, mythic self-awareness. This means a society guided by a deep symbolic continuity with its ancient roots, specifically Zoroastrian and Promethean heritage.
Okay, technological sovereignty, mythic self-awareness. What are the other two?
Right. The third is meritocratic leadership. It's described as rule by magi. Now, not just the historical figures, but a kind of class embodying deep knowledge, both worldly and spiritual, distinct from populists, distinct from clerics. And finally, number 4, total openness to the real. This includes embracing what's often suppressed, the anomalous, the spiritual dimensions of reality.
Wow. Total openness to the real.
Imagine a society that actively seeks out and integrates things we usually push to the margins. It's a profound reimagining, really. It's almost like flipping the standard worldview inside out.
It's just fascinating how these principles, especially putting mythic self-awareness right alongside technological sovereignty, it offers such a different blueprint, a society guided by ancient spiritual heritage, but also at the cutting edge of science. It really does flip the script on how we often think about progress, doesn't it?
It really does.
So does Jorjani in the material, does he address maybe the inherent tension there, or the potential contradictions in trying to combine such, well, seemingly disparate elements?
He seems to argue that the tension itself is the engine, that it drives progress.
Yeah.
The Magi leadership, that third principle, is specifically designed, apparently, to manage this dynamic. The idea is to ensure that the tech advancement serves the society's deeper mythic purpose, rather than just becoming an end in itself or, leading to a purely cold mechanistic future.
Okay, so the leadership navigates that tension.
That's the idea. And this proposed civilization, as it's described, it is unique. It's post-Islamic, but explicitly not atheistic. It's scientific, but not mechanistic. Yeah. And while it's deeply Iranian in its roots, it's presented as having global consequences. It's painted with this powerful image, a civilization of flame, not of fear.
A civilization of flame, that's striking. Suggests something vital, energetic, courageous, maybe?
Exactly. Vitality, courage, not shrinking from reality.
So, okay, with all these ambitious ideas swirling around, what does this actually mean for the rest of the world? If this reawakened Iran were to emerge, what are the suggested global consequences?
Well, Jorjani suggests that if Iran were to, as he puts it, ignite the human future, the impact would be pretty significant and far-reaching. For one, it would directly challenge the materialism that arguably underpins a lot of Western technocracy.
Challenge materialism? How so?
By demonstrating a path that integrates the spiritual or metaphysical with the technological, not seeing them as opposed. It could also potentially dissolve the existing East-West divide.
Yeah.
Not by merging them necessarily, but by offering a completely third civilizational pole, a new distinct model for human development.
The third pole. Interesting. What else?
Furthermore, it would likely force a kind of reckoning with metaphysical questions. The big questions about reality, consciousness, purpose, things that science, in many frameworks, has often tended to bracket off or avoid. And perhaps most importantly, from this perspective, it would model how a people can potentially recover their collective soul, their deep identity, and then actually design their future accordingly, based on that self-understanding.
There's another quote from the material that just jumps out. It really sums up this potential global impact. If Iran rises not just politically, but spiritually, then the world will have to choose between Prometheus and Plato's cave. I mean, that's a stark choice, isn't it? It really invites you, the listener, to ponder the fundamental paths humanity might take.
It's incredibly stark.
One path of actively pursuing knowledge, truth, symbolized by Prometheus stealing fire, versus maybe remaining content in perceived reality, the shadows in Plato's cave.
Precisely. But, and this is crucial, it's also emphasized that this path, however transformative it might sound, is absolutely not guaranteed. What's quite fascinating here is the direct acknowledgement of significant dangers, potential missteps. It's definitely not presented as some kind of utopia without its shadows.
Okay, so what are the risks identified?
Jorjani himself points out several key risks. A Promethean state, despite its high ideals, could potentially devolve into a kind of techno-fascism, where that technological mastery becomes a tool for oppression. That's one danger. Another is that a spiritual revival, while potentially inspiring, could easily slide back into, say, theocratic regression, losing that core liberatory impulse that's supposedly driving it.
So technology misused or spirituality becoming rigid?
Exactly. And also that mythic consciousness itself. While it can inspire incredible things, it also has the potential to consume. It can lead to irrationalism or fanaticism. It's described as a powerful force that demands really careful stewardship.
Right. It's not inherently benign.
Not at all. And this is why the source material really emphasizes that the burden is philosophical, that the fire must be carried carefully. There's a direct quote from Jorjani. Those who steal fire must not become tyrants, but torchbearers. It really highlights the immense responsibility that comes with this kind of transformative vision.
And this ties directly back to you listening right now. It reminds us that Iran, viewed through this particular profound lens, really stands at the edge of the future. And its choices, the direction it ultimately takes, well, they could have profound implications not just for the region, but maybe for all of us. It's a heavy thought. It's actually quite remarkable how much ground we've covered, hasn't it? Tracing these huge ideas from ancient roots all the way to this radical vision for the future. What stood out most to me, I think, was that tension, that combination, a civilization aiming to be built on both deep ancient heritage and cutting-edge technology.
And if we distill it down, what seems to emerge from this deep dive are maybe two core contributions being highlighted. First, Zoroastrianism, offering this vision of, let's say, ethical freedom rooted deeply in being itself. And second, Prometheanism, presented as a way to potentially carry that ancient ethical vision forward into our complex technological future.
Yeah, and it really leaves us and you with this powerful thought. We're not just spectators watching history unfold. We are, in a way, its continuation. Or maybe it's failure. So thinking about all this, it wasn't just a path laid out. It feels more like a circle of flame, as the source material suggests. A dialectic, a conversation, still burning, a destiny perhaps still ours to claim. We really invite you to reflect on what it means for anyone to carry fire